Ce documentaire est interactif. Pour accéder aux bonus, il vous suffit de cliquer sur les pictogrammes lorsqu'ils apparaissent.
The guy who wants it that much more is the guy who becomes a legend. Champ. Great champ. That much more.
Body. Uppercut forward. Hagler Leonard.
Leonard and Hagler has to be like one of the top street fights of all time. I would call this fight a masterpiece, yes.
I remember that fight being a very close fight.
It goes back to who won this fight?
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Hagler won the fight.
Until this day, after 27 years, it's like people are still picking sides.
The fight was won before they got in the ring. Sugar Ray Leonard beat Hagler mentally.
I just use a sight game. I just use psychology.
Années 80, âge d'or de la boxe. 4 combattants d'exception se livrent une guerre d'enfer. Sugar Ray Leonard. Marvin Hagler. Thomas Hearns. Roberto Duran. Leurs affrontements d'anthologie sont gravés à jamais dans l'histoire du noblard. De tous ces combats, un sommet demeure. Mythique. Historique. Le duel Hagler-Leonard, du 6 avril 1987. Leonard est alors retiré des rings depuis 2 ans. Il assiste en spectateur à un combat d'Hagler, lorsque lui vient la lubie de remonter sur le ring pour ce défi.
It happened when Marvin Hagler was fighting John the Beast Mugabe in Las Vegas. And I was sitting with Michael J. Fox, and we were having a couple beers. And I recall watching John the Beast Mugabe outbox Hagler. And I said, Michael, I can beat Hagler. He said, you want another beer? I said, yeah, but I can beat Hagler. I felt at that precise moment, I could beat this guy. I had what it took to beat a guy as great as Marvin Hagler.
Leonard saw what people who knew boxing saw. That Marvin Hagler was slowing up.
I saw him slipping. I saw something that affects all of us. As we get older, as we get more successful, we become civilized. And Marvin, that particular night, had become civilized, and I felt I could take advantage of it. After he had beaten John the Beast Mugabe, he came to my restaurant, and we had drinks, and I asked him certain questions about his career. He would say, you know, Ray, I don't feel like training anymore, and I would pour more wine. He would tell me that he cuts a little bit too easy and I would pour more wine. So everything he gave me, I poured more wine to get more out of him. At that time, I was, you know, I was doing extracurricular activities, you know, with drugs and alcohol. I wasn't leading the life of a boxer champion, and I was small. I was probably about 146 or 147 pounds.
Leonard just, you know, got over eye surgery, so it was a lot of medical people that was watching and was really against him coming back fighting.
We had to get special medical clearance. There was a rule in Nevada at that time, you could not fight with a detached retina. And it was fixed, it was repaired, and we sent him through all the medical tests and he was cleared to fight.
Défi impossible. Combat d'une vie. Après 2 années de retraite, Leonard reprend le chemin de l'entraînement. Il lui faut être prêt pour défier Marvin Hagler, invaincu depuis 37 combats.
For many years, I've watched Marvin shine and destroy, just annihilate his opponents. Marvin Hagler was a monster, without question, because physically he was a beast.
Every punch that he threw was a knockout punch, you know?
The general consensus felt that I was crazy. They felt that it was an easy fight, that after maybe 4 or 5 rounds, the end of Sugar Ray. When I decided to fight Marvin Hagler, I went home and we had actual fights in our gym. I brought in professional middleweight fighters. They put on fight gloves, 10-ounce gloves. I put on training gloves, 14-ounce gloves. They had headgear, I had no headgear, so because I had to feel what it felt like, what I remember, what it feels to get hit again, because I hadn't been hit in quite some times. We go 10 rounds, 12 rounds, 15 rounds. I pushed myself. I was training 5-minute rounds. Also, instead of 1 minute rest, I got 30 seconds rest. I was getting stronger and bigger, and I was hurting guys to the body, sparring partners. And I felt that because of some of the scar tissue around Marvin Hagler's eyes, I could beat him that way. And I truly believed I could until I got hit by one of my sparring partners. It was 5 days before the fight, I got hit. The place went quiet. My gym went quiet. And as I was driving back to my hotel, no one said a word. No one said one word. And it really upset me because I said, they don't believe in me. And I changed my strategy. I'm a boxer. I said, this guy won't touch me. And thank God that happened, because that made me change my strategy.
Clever change indeed. That showed your adaptation abilities. The same you showed during the pre-fight game with your psychological tricks. Tell us about this press conference when you came out with that jacket.
It was kind of smart. Yeah, I wore a jacket that was, the shoulders were kind of padded, which made me look bigger. I had a white leather jacket on, and it made me look bigger because standing side by side, there was sheer evidence that he was a much bigger guy. I was trying to create an illusion. And also, I tried to convince the public or Marvin that he was a better boxer than the people gave him credit for. I didn't want him to come at me like he did with Tommy Hearns. 3 rounds of pow, 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 pow. I never said anything to upset Marvin because I didn't want him to create an aggression. So when he goes to training camp, all he thinks about is knocking Sugar Ray Leonard out. So I would say things nice about him. He's a nice man, he's a nice father, he's a nice husband. I gave him compliments, so I gave him nothing to feed off of.
You were a hacker.
Somewhat. The last thing he said, which I knew I had an effect on him, He told the press, I may surprise you guys, I may outbox Ray. When he said that, I knew I had him. Because he's not a boxer, he's a slugger. He's a powerful machine.
When we go further, you're not the sugar guy. You're the vicious, you're the bad guy, aren't you?
I'm a little manipulative. I do, you know, it's like business. I just use a sight game. I just use psychology.
From Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, World Championship Boxing. As Marvelous Marvin Hagler defends his middleweight title against Sugar Ray Leonard, with all eyes on an outdoor arena here in Las Vegas. It's estimated 350 million people worldwide will see this fight. This 15,000-seat stadium has been sold out for 5 months.
You know, in Hagler's dressing room, you know, it was a lot of meanness. You could feel the, you know, you could feel the pressure that he was under, you know, and you could feel the hate. He really wanted to hurt Leonard. Leonard, on the other hand, it was just, hey, man, you know, everything was good. I got a job to do. He was very relaxed.
And there was a thin board between Marvin's room and Ray's room. And Angelo would be pounding on the wall every few minutes and say, Marvin, you're old tonight. You're going to get beat tonight. Ray's going to beat your ass.
Am I scared? Yeah, there's a fear. There's a fear factor there. But there's a balance of fear, because fear is bad because it can paralyze you. But fear is good because it makes you alert. When the first bell rung, I went out there, and when I threw a jab, and it hit him, I said, it still works. That was the most important punch I ever threw in my career, because that's when I knew I still had it. And I sent a spy to his training camp to find out what his pet peeves were, what he didn't like, what he did like, his strong points, his weak points. And my spy told me that Marvin Hagler believed that the first person to the center of the ring wins the fight. So I will almost sprint to the center of the ring. Just a little psychology. When he came out and he was orthodox, and he only gave me an opportunity to kind of get my feet wet because again, I've been out of the ring for 4 or 5 years, I think it was. And I started to settle down.
I was saying, what in the hell is he doing? You know? I mean, why don't he fight this guy, you know, the way that he usually fight? His thing was to show Leonard that he could box, that he was a boxer, you know, not a slugger.
Obviously, this is what Leonard wanted him to do. Hagler was flat-footed. He couldn't cut off the ring. He couldn't get set. Leonard's speed just took him through the first few rounds.
Right hand by Leonard.
Hagler just couldn't catch him. Hagler was making the fight very easy for Leonard. I mean, I just thought he gave Hagler a boxing lesson.
The one thing that is very apparent now is that Leonard is the more confident fighter. And he wound up and hit him to the stomach. Variation of a bullet. And I doubt that Marvin Hagler has ever seen an opponent try that.
You do it with your kid, but you don't do it with Marvin Hagler. It just happened. It just happened. Boom, 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 boom.
But it was a low blow.
A little low, borderline. It was questionable.
This fight. And now he's starting even to taunt Hagler. smiling at him and just essentially saying, come on. And now Hagler's getting angry. No question about it.
It was something to really piss Hagler off. Leonard, that was his whole demeanor, was to piss Hagler off, make him try to box out of his comfort zone, make him mad, make him fight wild. That was Leonard's thing.
I knew I was driving him crazy because he was talking to me. He was telling me, slow down, you little girl, slow down, you little girl. That was uncharacteristic of Marvin Hagler. He didn't talk trash, he didn't do that. He showed you with his actions. And when he was doing that to me, I said, something's going on here.
A good right, very good right. Hurt. Big right hand by Marvin Hagler.
Fifth round, I think it was, that he hit me with an uppercut and knocked me back. And I was like, wow.
He buckled his knees. His knees wobbled a little bit.
When I got back to my corner was somewhat delirious. They were like, you know, very freaking out. And Angelo Dundee stepped in between. He said, stop it, stop it. And he calmed things down.
I want you to box. That is all.
He was an experienced guy. He knew when to say something at the right time. He knew how to motivate his fighter. A couple of times in that fight, he got Leonard off his ass and got him going.
He never showed anxiety on his face, which is good for the fighter. If the fighter see that his trainer is freaking out, then he freaks out.
Nice and smart. Dipping, nice and smart.
I just tried to take Marvin out of his game, and I did for a while. But he's such a great champion, and he's always come back.
Now Hagler being the aggressor, and Hagler a good left hand to the head.
The 7th through the 9th, Hagler really took it to him, really pushed the issue. He walked faster. Leonard was moving slower. Hagler was really getting advantage of Leonard.
And another left hand by Hagler.
He had his back up against the ropes. He would sit there and get punched.
This is what Hagler wants. He wants a war. Ray Leonard is hurt in the corner.
I was running out of gas.
Leonard trying to fight his way off the ropes. Hagler hammers him back on. Ray Leonard looks like a tired fighter, but
But at some point, the body says, hey man, I've done my share. I can't go anymore.
But what Ray Leonard is doing is giving Marvin Hagler what he wants. A brawl.
The question's asked, how bad do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? That is when you have to respond, that precise moment. How bad do you want that fight? How bad do you want to win? Do you want to win? Do you want to win? And I wanted it that bad.
Off the ropes. Leonard fighting off the ropes.
I told my guys to yell 30 seconds before the bell rings so I can throw a lot of punches and win that round by refocusing what the judges saw in the last 30 seconds.
He threw some punches, like a lot more punches than that last 30 seconds of each round, trying to sway the judges.
We used to call it shoe shine in the amateurs, you know, just like a lot of punches, you know, just speed shots.
When he made these flurries toward the end of the rounds, the crowd would get more excited.
You know, the crowd went crazy, and the judges hear the crowd and so forth. So I think that was the most effective weapon that Leonard had that night.
Deep breath. We only got 3 minutes. Yeah. Come on, baby. We got 3 minutes. One more round of fight is over. You
I said, now it's the 12th round. I just got to go 3 minutes. And I was buying time. I was using the crowd, the fans to help me out, give me more spirit. I was doing the shuffle, I was doing things to kind of buy time. I feed off the audience. I feed off fans. I feed off them. It's, you know, they give me more courage, or more, not courage, but more strength than they can imagine. It's synergy. It's that connection.
How do you like it? How do you like it?
At that point, going to the 12th round, I won already. Without getting the decision, I won because I went the distance. Most experts felt maybe 2 rounds, maybe 5 rounds max, that Marvin would take me out. But that was a triumph within itself, of being in the ring with Marvin, contending in the ring with marvelous Marvin Hagler.
By the winner, by a split decision, and new middleweight champion of the world, Sugar Ray Leonard.
I gotta tell you, I felt the greatest tonight, you know, and I proved that I was the true champion. It didn't knock me down, it didn't hurt me at all. Come on, I just can't believe it, man.
Who won the fight this night, Richie?
Sugar Ray Leonard. He did more, he scored more points, you know, but he just sold the fight. He took it away from Hagler. The fight was won before they got in the ring. Sugar Ray Leonard beat Hagler mentally. He has really planted a seed in Hagler's mind.
This fight was a booby trap.
A booby trap, you're right.
Booby trap, they just, yeah, exactly.
Competitive-wise and punch-wise, I thought Hagler maybe won the fight. But showman-wise, Leonard was the showman that night. He stole the show.
I still believe in my heart that Leonard won the fight. And I know there's an awful lot of people that still say Hagler won the fight.
You know, Hagler had his fans, Sugar Ray had his fans. And till this day, after 27 years, it's like people are still picking sides.
I don't think we're ever going to get a good answer of who won that fight or why they won that fight. It's going to be an argument almost every time.
The sad thing was Marvin never fought again. There's sort of unfinished business there.
The worst person for him to lose to was me. He continues to look at that loss to me as a major, major loss. I would love to do a poll, whether it's starting in the States and then doing it in France and doing it around the world, to do a poll of who they think won the fight. And even people who were not even born when we was fighting, let them see the fight and let them be the judge. I'm still calling you Marvin, okay? I'm still calling you Marvin Hagler. Yeah. Okay, buddy.